Hi, y'all. You're watching the Big Jim Country Boy YouTube channel. Yeehaw!
Ever wondered what happens when Christmas Eve gets a touch of the extraterrestrial? Picture this, if you will. A serene Christmas Eve. The world is hushed, blanketed by the gentle hush of snow, save for one house. There, under the twinkling lights of a Christmas tree, sits none other than Joe Biden. But he isn't alone. Oh no, he shares this quiet night with three unusual visitors. Gray aliens, their eyes as big and black as a moonless night, their gaze as piercing as the winter chill. The scene is almost peaceful, if not for the eerie undertones. The silence of the night, the flickering Christmas tree lights reflecting off the aliens' almond-shaped eyes. The only sound is the occasional rustling of wrapping paper and then a sudden knock. A knock that seems to come from the roof, echoing through the silent house. The trash cans outside rattle in response as though disturbed by some unseen force. The suspense thickens, the air grows colder. The quiet of the night is shattered by these inexplicable sounds, turning this Christmas Eve into a not-so-silent night. The contrast is uncanny, the stillness of the inside against the sudden chaos outside, the piercing gaze of the aliens against the obliviousness of the world around them. Then, just as the suspense reaches its peak, a new player enters the scene. The sound of a roaring engine cuts through the night, followed by the screech of tires against the icy road. It's Santa, but not as you know him. No reindeer-led sleigh for him this year. Instead, he's driving a red sports car, packed to the brim with 8 unconventional reindeer. And just when you thought things couldn't get any weirder, enter Santa driving a red sports car packed with 8 rather unconventional reindeer. So buckle up, this is going to be one Christmas Eve you won't forget. Forget about Rudolph, this Santa has a different set of companions to guide his sleigh. Picture this. Santa, the jolly old man we all know and love, but with a twist. Instead of his trusty reindeer, he's got a crew of 8 colorful characters in tow. And let me tell you, these aren't your average elves. They're a vivacious, riotous bunch, with names that sound like they belong in a Las Vegas lounge rather than a Christmas tale. First, there's Trixie, a firecracker with a laugh that could outshine any Christmas carol. She's got a heart as warm as a Yule log and a wit as sharp as icicles. Next up, we have Stacy, a spitfire who can outdance any sugar plum fairy. She's got moves that could make a snowman melt, and a spirit as bright as the star atop your Christmas tree. Then there's Patty, the queen of sass. With her, every day is a holiday, and she's got the festive spirit to prove it. Penny is the brains of the bunch, a whiz with a whip-smart sense of humor that could make even Scrooge crack a smile. Don't forget about Terry and Larry, the dynamic duo. They're as inseparable as Christmas and mistletoe, always ready with a quick quip or a hearty guffaw. And finally, there's Hunter and Xi Jinping, the wild cards of the group. They're as unpredictable as a white Christmas, keeping everyone on their toes with their antics. Now imagine this eclectic crew guiding Santa's sleigh, a spectacle that's more chaotic carnival parade than idyllic Christmas scene. But somehow, it works. Their camaraderie and infectious enthusiasm light up the night, outshining any Christmas lights. As they streak through the sky, traffic lights guide their path. Who needs a North Star when you've got the city's infrastructure? This might not be the traditional Christmas story we're used to, but it's a tale full of laughter, spirit, and unexpected joy. And isn't that what the holidays are all about? Now, what do you think Santa saw when he peered through the frosted glass? Well, let me tell you, it was a sight to behold. A sight that would make even the most seasoned of North Pole veterans blush. Picture this, a Christmas tree twinkling with lights, the star on top wobbling as if it had one too many eggnogs, and beneath it, an intergalactic gathering that would make Star Trek fans green with envy. There was Joe, looking as bewildered as a kid who just found out where babies come from, and surrounding him, 3 small gray aliens, their eyes big and black, almond-shaped, looked like 2 olives floating in a martini glass. I tell ya, those eyes were so intense they could outstare a statue. They weren't singing carols or exchanging gifts. Oh no, they were engaged in a bizarre dance, moving like they had springs for legs and rubber for arms. It was as if they were doing the Charleston, the twist, and the Macarena all at once. Now this wasn't your typical Christmas tableau. There were no chestnuts roasting on an open fire, no sugar plums dancing in children's heads. Instead, there was an unexpected symphony of otherworldly chatter. a soundtrack that sounded like a cross between a jazz fusion band and a malfunctioning dishwasher. Santa, being the jolly old soul that he is, just chuckled, his belly shaking like a bowl full of jelly. He had seen some strange things in his hundreds of years of service, but this was something else. He didn't know whether to join in the dance or to call the men in black. But, as we all know, Santa had a tight schedule to keep. With a wink of his eye and a twist of his head, he gave a nod that clearly said, "This party's too wild even for me." And off Santa went, leaving behind a scene even the Grinch wouldn't believe. Ever seen Santa perform a perfect drift in a red Corvette? Now this is a sight to behold. Imagine, if you will, the jolly old Saint Nick, not in his traditional sleigh, but behind the wheel of a fiery red sports car. The engine roars, a sound that echoes in the silent night, drowning out the faint strains of Silent Night playing in the background. With a twinkle in his eye and a grin that could outshine the northern star, he revs the engine, ready for his grand exit. As Santa pulls away, his wheels churn up the snow, leaving a swirling flurry in his wake. The car slides and slips on the icy road, but Santa, ever the skilled driver, maintains control. The tires screech against the asphalt, a wild symphony of sound that punctuates the otherwise quiet night. In the rearview mirror, Santa can see the bewildered faces of Biden and his alien guests. Their eyes wide, their mouths agape, they stand frozen, their festive gathering momentarily forgotten. It's a sight that brings a hearty chuckle from Santa, and he steps on the gas, eager to continue his Christmas Eve journey. The Corvette, a striking figure against the snowy landscape, begins to pick up speed. Its red glow, as vibrant as Rudolph's famous nose, cuts through the foggy night. The car weaves around corners, its headlights dancing across the snow-covered trees and houses, creating a mesmerizing light show. As Santa drives further into the night, the glow of the Corvette begins to fade, gradually swallowed by the thick fog. The sound of the roaring engine dwindles to a soft purr, then to a mere whisper, until it is finally lost in the gentle hum of the winter night. And just like that, Santa is gone, leaving behind a trail of tire tracks in the snow, and a story that would be told and retold for many Christmases to come. And that, folks, is what we call a Christmas exit. So, what do you do after an alien encounter and a visit from a Corvette-driving Santa? Well, you'd think that after a night like that, anyone would need a moment to process. And perhaps a strong cup of Joe, and I don't mean Biden. But you see, our pal Biden, he's made of sterner stuff. He's been in the political game long enough to know that extraordinary situations call for extraordinary measures. So what's the first thing he does? He calls a press conference, of course. Biden, ever the politician, knows a good story when he sees one. He stands on the podium, eyes twinkling brighter than the star atop the White House Christmas tree, and tells the world about his out-of-this-world Christmas experience. And what about our friends from the far reaches of space? Well, they've had a taste of Earth's holiday spirit and they're hooked. They start incorporating Christmas traditions into their own culture, like exchanging gifts and decorating their spacecraft with twinkling lights. They even start singing carols, although the tunes are a bit off-key, and the lyrics are all about intergalactic travel and probing. But hey, it's the thought that counts. What about Santa and his unusual team of reindeer? Well, they're riding high on their Christmas adventure. They've swapped the North Pole for the open road, spreading holiday cheer wherever they go. They've traded in the sleigh for good, and now the red Corvette is their ride of choice. And the reindeer? They're enjoying their new life, far from the icy tundra and the endless rounds of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. As for Xi Jinping and Hunter, they've formed an unlikely friendship. They've started a band, calling themselves the Christmas Crackers, playing a unique blend of rock and roll and traditional Chinese music. And as the sun rose on Christmas Day, one thing was for sure. This was one Christmas Eve no one would ever forget.